Nick went down.
Yes,
Unbelievable.
yes, that's actually.
And is now OOP, as they say in dog racing, out of picture in terms of the college football championship. There would be almost no way that these committee people, even if they bring back Condoleezza Rice and she accept the bribe from Jose Suleiman, there would seem to be no way that you could somehow work Alabama back in the equation. Is there with two losses? And possibility that they would have four losses on the season. Well, you can't say that because they won those games. And your man Jimbo, what's he on? Like a 9-game losing streak? That's unbelievable. Jimbo Fisher.
I don't know how much they've
Horrendous.
lost in a row. They have not played well the entire year. Like, and then Jimbo, like they're talking, his buyout's like $50 million, and they're considering it. Like that's how bad this is.
Imagine that. $50 million they're going to give this cat to
Pay him to
fail.
go.
Wow. Did we all make some bad career choices? We should have just been failing college football coaches.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very happy good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubitz. Lubie a little bit out of sorts here today because he's been trying to get the new Lubie homestead together here, so we don't have that stark background and all of the various complaints that have risen up over the year or so that we've been doing this. Actually, it's like a year plus now, about 13 months. And first it was Lubie broadcasting from his dorm room at FSU, and then whether people were concerned whether he was being interrogated right after the show by the feds. It's a weird thing. If I could be indicted by the federal government for alleged criminal activity, how is it that Trump is going to get a free pass? I don't want to get into that.
That's the question.
It's Thanksgiving week. It's my favorite week of the year. I'm not one necessarily to sit there and trash, oh, my God, the drudgery of the holidays. I love the holidays, every fucking one of them. I really do, especially Thanksgiving. It's absolutely fantastic and looking very much forward to it, although we're only going to do a little one-day off thing here because Lubie's got some kind of special scheduling here. What are you going to have, a pineapple on your head in a couple of weeks? Is that what's going on here?
Yes.
You're going to be like one of those guys that's playing for BYU and going to Hawaii for the Hawaii Bowl?
From tomorrow, we will be taking our talents to the West Coast, to the deep West Coast, and heading out to Hawaii. Yes, sir.
Time differential alone would make it prohibitive to do the show.
I'm going to bring stuff, actually, just in case. Maybe lunchbox. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to be dedicated, but the wife is what the wife wants. We haven't gone away.
She's making the bread, so I mean, you may as well go along with it, Lubie.
Especially since a while. I can't.
Seems like what she's pushing you to do. It doesn't sound all that bad to me. I mean, going to Hawaii and you're complaining. Only you would be fetching about it, which is great. But anyway, so you were painting all weekend. Now, were you painting the outside of the house or the inside? Because it looks like you painted your face red.
Yeah, it was all weekend long, and I didn't get a lot of sleep. So happy to be here with you all. Appreciate everyone who is following us this morning. And as a lot of people, I know this is the beginning of the holidays, so the next 2 months, a lot may not be working. So those of you that are watching us, thank you.
Appreciate it. No doubt.
We did that. The room that will be the studio, I painted that. And then our master bedroom, which is actually a nice size master bedroom. And I really know how big it is now because I painted it all day yesterday. I painted that. And then she did the hallway. And then we hired a guy to do, because we wanted the living room, the ceilings are stupid high. It's like the cathedrals. They're like really
great.
High.
Yeah.
So we paid a guy to do that. And then they just finished up with the kitchen.
What'd you get, Michelangelo? Or,
I actually thought of, my mom called them, these are cathedrals. I'm like, oh, Defo would love that.
You believe that cat lived to be like in his 90s when everybody else was checking out in their mid-40s?
Yeah, I don't know.
Think about that. I mean, what was he on, man? I mean, he might have had better juice than Victor Conti, this guy. How did he live to be 90? He lived to be double the age, average lifespan of the people that were around at the time in the 1500s there or whatever that was. And you can't go anywhere without in Italy. That was one thing I remember about traveling through Italy. No conversation could be complete without some mention of Michelangelo. Didn't matter. You could have been talking to a guy about how to get to the local racetrack, and he'd say, "Well, you know what? Michelangelo Boulevard. That's the way you go." And by the way, Michael built the track, and he was the first jockey ever to race at the Hippodrome. What are you talking about? All right, Thanksgiving week. I hope everybody's ready for it. I put in an order with Tommy T there for a couple of items. I'm going to bring to the
Yeah, you love lasagna. His lasagna is good as any.
Now, lasagna's good. I like having a lasagna on Thanksgiving. I don't know why. Somebody brought it over one time, and I thought, wow, this is a great idea. So I've been trying to hit Thanksgiving with some form of lasagna ever since. And I used to go to a couple of different places and just pick up like a giant one that was already made. One year, my son made one, which really blew my socks off because I didn't know he could cook, and it was like one of the best lasagnas I've ever had. But that may be, I mean, challenged by Tommy T's crepe lasagna, this Cajun lasagna he does, which is amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. And I threw in a little jambalaya. Is that like overkill on Thanksgiving? Jambalaya as a side dish?
Take whatever you
So-
can from Tom T.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever this cat's making, I'm bringing.
Like, are you kidding me? You bring the oysters.
Now, do I act like I made it myself? Nah, nobody would believe that. They wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't try it.
No
All
way.
right, many things. I mean, it was a great sports week, and I know you didn't get a chance to catch much sports, Lubie, but I'll fill you in on a lot of things that happened over the
I kept an
weekend.
eye, obviously. I know the outcomes. I just find I don't know the little intricacies, and I know a lot of the time you like to complain about refs. So if there was any ref complaint
Oh my God, there has to be a class
That I
action
missed.
suit.
that I missed,
No, there has to be a class action suit in the NFL. It's only a matter of time. I don't know if Trump could get people to storm the Capitol building. What's going to happen at the FanDuel or DraftKings offices when people demand a refund from the National Football League? They're partners with these guys, Luby. They
They
are
are.
partners with the people that are taking the bets, and these bets are impossible to hit as it is. Almost every game, the outcome comes down to the final play or two, or certainly inside of the final couple of minutes. When you're talking about the outcome versus the point spread, and I would say what about 65, 70% of the cases, games are decided, maybe more. I don't know what the
pretty
percentage
close.
is. I mean, like yesterday's Dallas game was a blowout from the beginning. Okay, so you had that one. You were laying a couple of points with Dallas, believe it or not, favored on the road against the Minnesota Vikings, who were 8-1. You talk about a lack of respect, my friend. But that one was never in doubt. So, even the networks realized that when it was 40-3, as obsessed as they are with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, they actually cut away from the game because it was boring. I mean, it was just clear cut that Kirk Cousins was going to get nothing done in this ball game, and you were once again mystified to think that Minnesota entered the game at 8-1. You were thinking that's impossible to look this bad. They looked like they were being coached by Mario Cristobal, the Minnesota Vikings yesterday,
Oh no!
like completely inept, without a single answer for anything that the
Oh my
opposition was
God.
doing, especially as they stepped up in company, the Canes,
Jeez.
against Clemson. But that's almost become irrelevant. And interestingly, John Conjemi going to be with us today? Is John in
John
on
will
the
be
show?
on tomorrow. John
Oh,
will be
okay.
on tomorrow.
All right, because Conjemi's Pittsburgh Panther team comes into, I guess they come here, right, to play the University of Miami in a
Think so.
game that you would think Pittsburgh is going to win easily. Charlie Partridge and company are going to be here in town. Our good friend from former FAU head coach. We used to have a blast with him every week on the show. You guys remember Charlie, and he's now the defensive line coach at Pittsburgh, which
Yes.
is a team that actually improved as the season went on. They started out a little bit rocky. I guess they had a couple of wins early, and then they got stung with a few losses. But it seems like the results that I've seen of late, they've been on the winning side of things. So I would imagine they handle the Hurricanes, who offer nothing in terms of resistance. When would you ever think that you would just see a completely inept Miami Hurricane football team? Completely inept. This late in the season now. This is the other thing. Like I said many times throughout the year now as we've been looking at that storyline. I mean, the thing is that they should be getting better. FSU is getting better under Mike Norvell. They've had 5 straight games of rushing for 200-plus yards.
Look at
Florida
you.
State Seminoles.
So
5
you had
straight.
FSU? You had
Something
FSU?
that hasn't happened since like they had like Dalvin Cook or something. I don't know. I mean, it
Oh
goes
no, that hasn't happened since
in before that, yeah.
1995.
Like Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward.
Yes, Talibot. Yes. Yes. They haven't done. I mean, that's a lot. Like in college, it doesn't happen.
It's common now to put up a stat that this hasn't happened since such a period of time, and usually they're like ridiculously stupid, right? They haven't had a win here at Lambeau Field since 2016,
It's like that's
and then
4
you
years
realize they've only played one game at Lambeau Field since 2016 because they don't play there every year. So what does the stat mean? They've lost one game
ago.
in the last 6 years there. But that one was kind of an interesting one because, it had been a long time since that happened with Florida State. So they're coming along. And while we're watching the absolute just dismantling of anything that you could possibly have thought was positive about the Hurricane football team. That Clemson game was an embarrassment. I would think this one, what's on the line there is did the Canes become eligible for the Emerald Bowl?
Look, as a guy who's a fan of a team who hasn't made a bowl in 5 years,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if they had made a bowl last year, it would have been a world of difference. Norville would have got a lot less crap this offseason if they won that one more game. So this game actually is like the Super Bowl for the Canes. Like, the Canes should really take this game seriously. If you can get to 6 wins, that feels a lot better than 5-7.
5-7. Wow, what
That's
such
what I'm saying.
goodness, as they say. All right, the class action suit against the National Football League. Here it is. I'm watching Jets Patriots. Why, I don't know. Okay,
Right,
I mean, two teams in the AFC East. Do I really care about that? No. I mean, it does appear that the Dolphins and the Bills
Mm.
are in a slightly, even though they lost to the Jets, the Miami Dolphins, it does appear that they're in a slightly different class than the Patriots and the New York Jets, at least based on what we saw yesterday. Both,
Yes.
both the Patriots and the Jets offense were complete direct. The Jets much more so even than the Patriots, who at least were moving the ball. They missed a couple of field goals. Nick Folk, who is normally pretty reliable, I think he had one of those streaks going where he hadn't missed a field goal inside of 40 yards since he was in puberty. And all of a sudden he shanks a couple. Didn't really shank them, but missed them. And the Patriots left 6 points there on the field, so to speak. Now that made a big difference in a ball game, but how can you be beaten if you're betting ball games? How can you be beaten like this? Where with 5 seconds to go in a game, Lubie, the Jets again, Hack Wilson. I mean, forget about it. This Zach Wilson, he has shown nothing so far this year. He had a very questionable Tua Tagovailoa type of rookie season. Out of the lineup early this year with an injury, appears to be very cocky, but man, he sucks. I don't say that very often, but
No, you don't. I've never heard you say that ever. That's my phrase that you hate.
Yeah,
I've never heard you say
he sucks.
Except for Winslow. You love Justice Winslow was the one guy I think you may have used a term very similar to that.
Maybe it's a learning curve, whatever. Obviously he's only in his second year. He hasn't played a full season yet.
Yes.
The Jets are not necessarily, displaying Jerry Rice type of skill on the outside, but they can't be that incompetent that you could throw for 77 yards in a ball game. 77 yards. And there were a lot of guys that were open. I mean, he can't make those two intermediate throws, not with any real efficiency. Now, Josh Allen was kind of wild in his rookie season. And actually, now people are starting to, even though the Bills won yesterday in Detroit, the
Cleveland
criticisms of Josh Allen were starting to pile up there, that he's too careless and reckless with his so-called red zone passing.
Yep.
And had a lot of turnovers that he had committed in the red zone or inside the 20-yard line. And, it was a thing that you really had to consider. I mean, the good quarterbacks are efficient in those spots.
Yes.
The really good quarterbacks, they don't jive the ball down the field there looking spectacular and then get inside the 20 and especially throw the ball to the other team, which is something that Allen was doing with an unfortunately, a frequent ratio. But they kind of redeemed themselves after trailing early in that ball game yesterday, the Buffalo Bills. In Zach Wilson's case, I mean, just missing guys that are, wide open in so-called space. As, you're watching a guy in the middle of the field, those intermediate throws, you have to make them if you're a professional quarterback. Be able to loop it in there over a linebacker and in between the safeties, especially a guy cutting through the soft part of his zone. And in big spots, Wilson came up with 0.0. He was Blutarski. All right, so the game boils down to this. It's 3-3, Lubie, 3-3. And you're thinking, now I'm getting 3.5 points with the New York Jets yesterday. Does
this explains a lot.
Contribute to my bitterness?
Explains a lot.
No, but think about this. This is insane, right? All right, so what do you want to do? You want to get to overtime, and you want to win the coin toss, as Brandon Lang explained to us, because if you win the coin toss, the likelihood that the team that gets second possession of the ball is going to do anything more than just kick a field goal once they get in range is, very, very marginal. You're thinking that they're not really going to press to get the touchdown. Even if they get to the 3-yard line, they're going to go ahead, kick a field goal, win the game if they have the second possession. Now, I mean, and I lost a couple of games that, you would want to slit your wrists if you were betting big money on these ball games. But So what happens? Jets punt the ball after another just inept possession by Zach Wilson, where he gets sacked. He throws the ball into a horrible spot, and they punt the ball away. Guy kicks a line drive. It was a windy day, and you're not expecting it to come back for a touchdown. But here's the thing, and here's why we should have a class action suit. All you people that lost money on the Jets yesterday, let's unite. Let's get together.
Oh my God.
Let's be like, it's all at stake here for the Democrats, and we're about to be overwhelmed by a red wave. Let's get together, get the young people out to vote, because we need to get on board on this. All right, so our philosophy. If a play, should be penalized early in the game, and it is, then it should be called late in the game as well.
Mhm.
All right, by any standard now. And all right, so they punt the ball away, and the guy returns it like 85 yards for a touchdown
Oh my
with
God.
5 seconds to go in the game. But
Oh my God.
a blatant, right in front of everybody's face, including the announcers. Who, don't be weak, Kevin Harlan and whoever else was doing the game, whoever the color analyst is. You can't swallow your own whistle on this play. Blatant block in the back, right in front of everybody at the 16-yard line. Now, why is that significant, Lubie?
Oh, they play with the
Because if they call it, all
Yeah.
right, so now they take it back to the 26. There's 5 seconds to go or less in the ball game,
ball. No, out.
and they're going to kick a field goal right away, win the game, and they win by 3. You're getting 3 and a hook. Bingo, you're cashing.
Oh, the block in the back happened at the end of the run.
End of the run. 16-yard line. Let's see. I actually
Okay.
wrote down the names that were involved in here.
Oh my
Marcus
God.
Jones is returning the kick, and a guy named Mac Wilson, I guess,
Okay.
shoves a Jet defender, special teams player, right in front of like 3 referees are looking at it.
Mm.
Shoves him flat out in the back. Okay, now would that have made a difference in the play? I don't know. The guy had a legitimate shot to stop him, which also makes I think about this. Not just the money that's on the line there with the 3.5 point spread, but the game itself. There was no guarantee that the field goal kicker for the Patriots was going to make that shot. We'd already seen Nick Folk miss 2.
Mm.
Okay, so and Belichick, I don't know. He might have even had a new kicker on the roster by then, thinking I don't want to risk it with this guy who is normally Mr. Reliable. And I think Nick Folk's been in the league for 100 years. He broke in with Westhoff, didn't he? Mike Westhoff. All right, so how do you not call that there? And that made all the difference in the world, because not only did they not have to trot out their field goal kicker, but had they gone ahead and made the field goal, all of the Jet people got paid off. Instead, they got it stuck right up their ass with that play. How can you have faith in that, right? If they take the play away, let's say it was the other way, and the Jets were about to score, a winning touchdown, and they took it away because they threw the flag, back at the 20-yard line or something. It's ridiculous. How do you call that? And they're so ready to call special teams penalties. You're wondering how there isn't a flag on an 85-yard return.
Yep.
That was the first punt return for a touchdown this season, by the way. So a tough way to lose.
Well,
in the NFL. In the NFL, that's the first punt return for a TD.
I saw that and I was like, who returns punts for TDs anymore?
Yeah.
I didn't realize, and I saw that it won the game. I didn't realize it was at the end of the game. They swallow their whistles sometimes on PIs and holdings at the end of games. They don't do that. When there's a punt or a kick, that's my problem, is they call holding on every punt kick.
Everyone, man.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, it was blatant.
Well, this one couldn't have looked any more blatant, because it happened, just in full view of everybody. It wasn't like one of these subtle things that happen away from the play, and you're thinking, well, did you really need to call that? And this was a guy that had a legitimate shot. He was the last guy to have a chance to tackle the ball carrier. And he gets shoved right in the back, right out of the play, and they let it go. I was like, wait a minute, where's my money? I want a refund. All right, so we lose that one. Some very exciting action around the NFL. Last night's game was good, although that was another one where how is it that Kansas City can't cover a point spread? I don't know what their record is against the spread, but man, they find a way to fuck it up every time. They really do.
They do.
Dramatic comeback, though, against the Chargers, who have been depleted by injuries. Brandon Staley's lost a little bit of his nerve there on those going for it on 4th downs. There were a couple of occasions there you thought he might go ahead and press the go button on that, but he did not. He managed to stay in the ball game. Looked like the Chargers were going to win it. And then Mahomes, with a minute 40 to go, drives the Chiefs right down the field. Travis Kelce having a monster ball game, 3 touchdowns, including a move where he did the old neon Dion going into the end zone, which is kind of funny to see, like a big guy doing that. But, he was just having a great time out there. And a hard-fought win for the Kansas City Chiefs last night, putting another dagger in what was supposed to be a monster year for the Los Angeles Chargers. The Rams, you can write them off now, right? 3-7. That was my team to go to the Super Bowl, Louie. What was I missing? They did everything in the offseason that you could possibly, consider would put them in a winning spot after they won the Super Bowl championship last year. Now, you could say that maybe Matthew Stafford isn't that good, that he's going to hit some kind of wall, that he had a remarkable season late in his career, and we've seen that. Becomes the proverbial shot fighter, takes a body shot from Father Time. And, that would be the only thing if he was in like severe decline. But there was, no great indication that was going to be the case. Plus, it looked like they had a very well balanced attack. Beckham Jr. being out, that's not enough to dissuade me from thinking that the Rams are going to be very good. So, what the hell happened to the Los Angeles Rams to have them at 3-7 and being, like underdogs every week to teams that you wouldn't necessarily consider are world beaters? Very, very surprising development in the National Football League. So, I don't know. I mean, are the Dolphins as good as anybody at this point? Philadelphia was challenged yesterday. Jeff Saturday, his second go as the interim head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. He had the Eagles by the jugular. They pulled out the game late. Dallas, all of a sudden, looked really, really good yesterday. That was, discouraging because they're going to have a home game on Thanksgiving. And of course, the Lions beating the Giants. The New York took it on the chin in yesterday's NFL action as the Giants looked awful against the Detroit Lions, who now, I believe,
Yeah, 5 wins.
have won 3 in a row. Have they not? 3 in a row. I think they've mowed down 3 straight teams, the Detroit Lions. And they did this in very handy fashion. I mean, they were in charge of this ball game throughout the contest. Now, Dan Campbell, we love Dan Campbell, and
3 in a row.
it is true, and I know I make this reference often because it was one of those shows I binged watched for some reason. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I couldn't get enough Deadliest Catch. I watched like 16 seasons of Deadliest Catch. I've seen every crab. I can identify crabs by name because I'd watched these shows so many times over and over and over again. But does Dan Campbell not look like the first mate or deckhand on the Deadliest Catch boat? One of those guys that like takes a smelt and just eats it while it's alive, Doesn't care what the conditions are. Let's go, men. We got crab to catch. He really does look the part. Anyway, Detroit now, we have to, I don't know, do we suffer through a Detroit game on Thanksgiving? I'm not sure who they're playing. I didn't make any note of that, but the Bills. They have the Bills because the Bills were in Detroit. Now, do the Bills just stay there? What do? Do they even bother going home to Buffalo there and shovel their way out of 70 feet of snow?
Yeah, no, that'd be dumb. That's probably why you would just stay in Detroit. It's close for Cleveland to go back, and it's probably why they went there is because they have to go there next. And the snow is probably going to be all week long. So it's like, okay, now they don't have to travel. That would actually make the most sense.
You would think that, well, who the hell wants to go back to Buffalo at any time, much less, not that Detroit is any bargain. But, so that's the leadoff game on Thanksgiving. I have nightmares. I don't know if you guys remember this guy named Altie Taylor when the Detroit Lions were horrible. This goes back probably, when I was a little kid. And you had the Thanksgiving Day games. You had 2 of them, right, in the beginning. Well, was it always did it begin as just Detroit playing on Thanksgiving Day, and then Dallas came on board later?
I think so.
Yeah. But, you still look forward to going outside during that period of time because nobody wanted to watch the Detroit Lions because they were just so boring. And they had a guy, I believe it was number 42, Altie Taylor. Look him up. He was a running back. Averaged like 2.9 yards a carry, I think, for his career. But he would explode occasionally on Thanksgiving Day. Not that, we saw him on that many Thanksgiving days because how many can you have in your career? I don't think he was in the league that long. But look him up, Altie Taylor. And that was the big excitement to see Altie Taylor run the football and averages 2.9 per carry. You're thinking, holy Woody Hayes, man, this is exciting football. I can't wait to see more of this. Ma, is dinner ready?
Exactly.
No, it's not halftime yet. Remember, you used to carve out time so you could watch the game instead of the turkey. But that was always ugly, and it was good that Detroit started out the action. Although they're sort of interesting to watch a little bit this year. All right, many things happening all around the world of sport. It started on Friday night for me. Did you catch this? And I made a mind bet of $100,000 on the Washington Wizards to beat the Miami Heat,
Oh,
getting 1 point.
oh, please.
Now, I'm sure the line had to be adjusted once it became known publicly that no one was going to play for the Heat, that they were going to dress 8 guys, which is the mandatory minimum,
I don't know what they're doing.
and only be able to play like 7 of those 8 guys. So they had 7 guys out there, guys that I didn't even know were under contract to the Heat, what were involved in this ball game. And we do remember the classic many years ago. It was in the 90s, I guess, when Rex Chapman beat the Chicago Bulls single-handedly by going 9 of 10. This was right after the Heat had orchestrated the trade for Tim Hardaway. And they were going through a big transition, and they'd lost a bunch of players. They dressed 8 players for that ball game against the mighty, vaunted Chicago Bulls. What was that one of their losses when they went 72-10?
Yes, that's why that game to this day means so much to Heat fans, because they only lost 10 games the entire year. And They lost like 26 in that game to a Heat team that had nobody.
Rex was on fire, man. He sank 9 of 10 threes. And you always love that, right? I mean, if you were in any recreational league and 3 of the guys couldn't show up because they got drunk the night before or whatever, or they came to the game in no condition to play, and so you realize you're only going to go with like a marginal roster. I remember being in games in certain leagues. One time we only had 4 guys show up and had to play 5.
Geez. I hate that.
Yeah, that sucks. But every now and then you pull off the upset, the big upset, when you're compromised badly by lack of personnel. The Heat did it, and it's always fun to watch. So I'm looking at the line, and I saw the Heat were favored by 1 on the road against the Wizards. Who are they? The typical Wizards? I mean, it doesn't seem like they're making a lot of noise, but weren't they in a position there where there was some possibility they might be able to actually make an ascent? Kyle Kuzma found his game there with the Wizards a couple of years ago when he was traded, they have some other players of merit, right? Bradley Beal is a highly coveted, sought-after player.
Yes.
So I'm thinking on the road, the Heat are favored by 1 against the Wizards, and then I find out that no one is going to play for the Miami Heat. And I'm thinking, who can I call, man? I want to get every dime that I can put together and bet it on the Washington Wizards getting a point at home against a Heat team that's going to play 7 guys, 5 of whom nobody ever heard of. And sure enough, what happens, Louis? They're winning the entire ball game, the Miami Heat.
Yeah, they were.
Winning the entire game. It takes a Kuzma, who was like 2 for 12 at the time from 3-point range. Kuzma hits a 3 to send the game to overtime. And can you imagine how euphoric you would have been if you had $100,000 riding on this game? The Heat were about to win. This guy sinks a miracle 3. There's still enough time left for the Heat to get off a reasonable shot at the other end, which they do. Lowry bricks one after having an outstanding game. And the game goes to overtime. And now you're thinking, wow, there's no way I can lose. We've staved off disaster. And sure enough, it came right down to the final shot again.
Mind push.
Unbelievable.
You got a mind push.
Wow. I mean, and you're thinking, what if I really did do this? What if I bet $100,000 on this game? Sure that there was no way that you could lose. That this inside information that nobody was playing for the Heat had escaped and been lost on everybody else in the universe. And I was the only guy that was getting 1 point with the Washington Wizards. Can you imagine? Or, and also the people that bet this game well in advance of knowing that the Heat had no players, that Spoelstra was wearing a pair of shorts, that he might have gone out there and resurrected his days from Portland State and played some point guard. The guys on the Heat, too, were completely gassed. Max Strus missed a shot at the end that could have won the ball game in overtime. But he had played like 50 minutes, and he hadn't been shooting the ball all that well to begin with. And, it had to be, what? I mean, what's the old thing? Women weaken legs. The legs go, you're not going to hit a fall-away 3. By the way, John Crotty had just said, hey, you have plenty of time to get a shot off. You don't have to settle for a fall-away 3. You only need a 2. So what do they take to end the game? A fall-away 3. Is that just laziness on the part of NBA players that, as a professor was saying on Friday's show, all they want to do is get to the clubs or the 6 babes that are waiting for them at the hotel room? And it's like, okay, hoist one up here. We don't want to go double OT.
Yes.
This was a chance to win the game, though. The Heat were down one, and they ended up winning a ball game by one on Friday night. You would have been Meshuggah.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is why gamblers end up talking to themselves. And you're thinking, is that guy on a cell phone? No, I don't see any earplugs.
Earpiece.
He's just talking to himself. That was a wild event, though. But then you had to figure that the Heat were subsequently going to get absolutely annihilated in their next game, which they did, as the Cleveland Cavaliers carved them up like a Thanksgiving turkey. There's your reference. And beat them by 26 last night. Unbelievable, right? I mean, 7 guys are playing. What the hell is going on out there, Louis? Very, very weird season for the Miami Heat. College football, wow. I mean, the top guys, did they get a little bit of a scare, huh? Michigan needs a last-second field goal to win by 2. And Ohio State wasn't looking too swift in their ball game either. We did mention, unfortunately, the Hurricane game against Clemson. I watched some of that. And I am mystified. I really am. I don't understand how really good coaches could have a team just completely, disintegrate in front of their eyes and have almost nothing to offer. I was listening to a sportscast, but I wasn't really watching. I don't know who did it, but I had the TV on in the background, and I heard whoever was doing the sportscast say, well, you know what? The Canes had their chances in this game. Yeah, they had their chances to find the exit and get the fuck out of there.
Like, the Canes fans are being so weird about this team. Like, look, believe me, I just went through this. Like, people follow me that first year. I was not Mr. Norvell that first year. Like, and that's
you always hate the incoming coach though, unless it's like the one guy that you had.
I like Jimbo, but I like Norvell. I was intrigued after a lot of people talked highly of him, and that first year was frustrating. The Canes fans are doing a weird thing where they want Cristobal to be good so bad that they're ignoring what's in front of their face. Yeah. I'm not saying he won't fix it in the future, but what has he done now that gives you confidence? Like I went at it with one of our radio friends the other day because he's actually a friend of Cristobal, and he was like, "You're not in there." I'm like,
"Was that the amigo?"
I'll leave him nameless. I'm like, "You're not in there." I'm like, "Why would being in?" I don't care if I'm not in there. I'm watching the game. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm just watching a team that looks absolutely horrible. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm not, you don't know what I do know. I get it. It's a disaster, but he was paid a lot of money.
They look poorly coached, though. They really do. They just do. It's funny because, I was watching, the endless babbling on one of these NFL, I guess it was on ESPN, right? Their NFL countdown show. And, they were talking about whether or not people were buying into Josh McDaniels and what he was doing with the Raiders. And whose fault is it? Is it the players or the coaches? That, nobody's seemed to be in synchronization with what they're doing. And they were debating whether Josh McDaniels is a good coach. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, his last stop was what? Denver? He didn't really have a great team assembled there in Denver. And they were trying to shove Tim Tebow. Oh, is that his idea, Tim Tebow? Oh.
That was him. That was all him. He traded up because he had to have Tebow. Tebow, the winner guy. Tebow. They had a great defense.
Yeah.
And he had a first-round pick where he could have maybe maneuvered differently.
That was a very late first-round pick, though. When he took
it was.
Tebow.
Well, after they had traded up to somewhere late first round, so maybe they didn't have a pick at all. I don't know. I don't remember that much.
Who could have watched Tim Tebow in college and thought that he would have been a good pro quarterback? No, really. He just didn't have.
I hated Tebow.
He didn't have the throwing arm to be a good, top-notch pro quarterback. Justin Herbert makes some pretty good throws in a game. Mahomes also. When he gets on these rolls, he's absolutely sick. Last night's game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. I watched Zero World Cup. How much World Cup action was there? Did Qatar? They played their only game, Qatar, or however you pronounce it.
The first day they play, and that's why you had that. Oh, you proved Shane wrong that year because Brazil was the home country, so they were the only game. The home team plays the one game to kick off the World Cup. And they played Ecuador. I don't even know
how they do.
No idea. Sarni's here this morning, so maybe Sarni can give us the recap.
It could have been another 0-0 thriller. Just keep them right there, and they're still alive in the bracket there. The home team.
0-0 thriller.
No beer, man. that's like having no syringes at a methadone clinic. How do you have no beer?
Oh, Ecuador won 2-0. Ecuador won in a scintillating match, 2-0.
2-0. All right, so they got the over there. I'm sure it was like one on a hook. I saw this piece on 60 Minutes though last night. Did you, by any chance, catch 60
Wow.
Minutes, Lubie? And it was about these panini stickers of soccer players that are, I mean, more valuable than gold.
Oh, jeez.
That's what they were saying, and the world is crazed. This is something that I've completely whiffed. I didn't know anything about this. Did you?
I've
The
heard the
panini
impacts of
stickers.
advertise. I thought they were cards, so I didn't know they were stickers. I thought they
Stickers,
were
yeah,
like,
and you assemble them into a book, and then the big thing is to get every player in the album for that particular year's World Cup, which obviously happens every 4 years, and it goes back to 1970. And it's like a big deal if you have every album assembled, or if you can even assemble one here in 2022, where you have all of the Panini stickers that you can put in the corresponding space. It's like one of those coin collector albums, right? Where, oh man, I need a Buffalo nickel from 1926. Anybody got one? And people trade them, and even the players are into it. It's insane. Where do you get these? Have you ever seen them for sale anywhere? Mike Lubie Lubitz, supposedly you go to like convenience stores, gas stations. I guess worldwide it's quite a phenomenon. But the Panini stickers, a very interesting story, by the way, on 60 Minutes last night. That was the most excitement I think I could generate or muster up so far for the World Cup. I don't know. I mean, you were inclined to watch any of these games, Lubie?
I want to watch the USA today. The USA plays at 2 p.m. versus Wales. So that I like. Look, I like the World Cup beginning to end. This one really is disgusting me. Like, it's in the middle of the football season and basketball season, so I don't care. And then the fact that you nailed it on the head. Like, it's been like mass murder. Like, thousands of people have died in this thing.
Yeah.
And now then they do the Bayer thing, like, and the fact that Fox like the greatest event ever. It's like, what are you talking
Oh,
about?
they're poo-pooing this thing, man.
Joke to me, like,
They will mention no atrocities. Trust me.
exactly. So it's like sort of, and I love the World Cup. The last 20 years, I've loved the World Cup since I got into college. I really got into it.
Imagine Joe Buck doing these World Cup games.
It's like a joke. Like, come on,
And
are you kidding
mentioning
me?
like, well, you know what, the human rights thing, they kind of blown that up out of proportion. It's like, what? It's slave labor, erecting these fabulous stadiums that they put together here, and spent $250 billion putting together facilities that could have fed the poor. But never mind that. Let's go for the opulence, and it's all a big show. This was the thing. I actually, not being a soccer guy, look, I'm not trying to pretend that I'm into the sport or anything, but I will catch some World Cup. On the 4 years that every 4 years it comes around. I mean, it's kind of interesting if the whole world is watching this and you're in the sports business. You have to think, well, okay, let me at least give it a look, see what the
Yeah.
hell everybody's raving about
Yep.
or so excited about. And I dig the crowds and everything. I love the spirit of the idea. I mean, the game itself is just absolutely pathetically boring, and you do have to be completely obliterated drunk to enjoy it. So, I mean, they're taking away, the one, primary condition that needs to be in place to have a winning soccer formula. So that's off the table. The people still were flocking there. I mean, all kinds of people are involved, but the fact that it's not in the summertime makes a big difference for me anyway, because there's just too much else that I'm interested in to dedicate a lot of time to watching World Cup soccer. I can't imagine, queuing up to the television set there 10 minutes before one of these games. Like if the U.S. made the final, I guess, or started to make a run, maybe I'd probably have, a little bit more considerable interest in it. But right now, I mean, 0.0 for me, Libby. I mean, is Dempsey still on the U.S. team? That guy must be 80 years old.
I don't know. That's a good question. He may.
How about Alexi, what's the guy's name? Alexi Lawler?
Been gone for 20 years.
Lawless?
Landon Donovan's gone. I think Dempsey this may be his last.
He's still around?
Or he may just be out. I'll look at him.
He's been around as long as Jack Dempsey, this guy. I mean, and he's been gone for a long time. Dempsey, he was the one guy who got like a commercial. He was in a Lexus commercial, wasn't he? No, that was Landon Donovan.
Oh, he's done. He was done in 2018. So you're not even going to get some Dempsey action. I don't know who's on the team then. The Pulisic kid? I guess the Pulisic kid. I don't know anyone else. I couldn't tell you anyone else on the team. Not one.
All right. Well, it's very exciting, to think.
None of us know anyone on the team.
God bless America. Maybe they would get a recording of Kate Smith out there to inspire the crowd. That'll be great. Oh, no, she was deemed a racist.
Yes.
Because she, was singing like, on one knee with blackface on, like Al Jolson or something in 1920. So they took down her statue. Very important piece of the public agenda.
My
All right, we have a lot to do here on the program. It was a great week of football. John Kajemi will be with us tomorrow with the Pigskin Playbook, and
goodness.
Wednesday I think we're going to try and do a couple of things. Get a little, a trivia challenge going because we won't be able to do it on Thursday. I think Gergs is in for that. So, and we will have a Degenerate Friday show for you. We're working Friday, even though my normal MO would have been to take Thursday and Friday off. Lubie says nope. I'm going to Hawaii the week after, so let's cram in some more shows. And I thought, okay, fine, I'm on board with that. And we want to be able to bring you this fine product and production that we have going every day here on Appeal Yourself Off the Mat Monday. All right, many things happening, though, and we will continue here on South Florida Live. Later on, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox on the road from Grandpa's. I hope he's not going to chow down. Why
No,
does he make these people go off the menu and make some disgusting sandwich?
he's not doing
Why
that.
does he do that?
We gave him one time. He has free reign to order at most restaurants. He does a really good job. The
Yeah.
lobster place literally they brought like 6 different lobster rolls. So I had to applaud him in that regard.
Yeah.
We know what's on that menu enough now where I'm going to start freely saying, you know what, this would be cool to try. This would be cool to try.
Yeah, forget the gefilte fish ball or whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, exactly. I'm scared for him taking us off the rails into some weird abyss. There was no need for that sandwich.
Yeah. I think he orders stuff that he knows that we won't eat. I really do. This way, because you know how he is. He puts his hands all over everything. I have a horse to mark in your book, Libby. This horse, I believe, cannot lose next time out. Well, it can lose, but I would go ahead and plunge on this horse, although I'm sure everybody saw the same thing that I did. This isn't like Glynn County, which we had to wait 8 months. Remember when that horse came home, paid $16.80, and I'd watched his previous race, and it was such a trouble trip. And the horse was, if a horse is closing at the end after a really troubled trip and coming on, maybe finishing, you would say a non-menacing 4th or 5th, but flying at the end after just getting annihilated during the course of the race. Always worth maybe making a note of and taking a shot at next time out. So the horse's name is KD Cadis.
Okay.
KD as in the initials Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Cadis, Kades. This horse is left in the gate at Aqueduct, and I would imagine runs again maybe 3-4 weeks. Left in the gate so badly that you're thinking they're going to refund the money. That had to be a malfunction. There's no way a horse
Not
could
even
be
left. He just stayed.
not. Yeah, no, I mean it's they call it refused or whatever. I don't know. There's a term for it when a horse just doesn't even break.
He just said screw
So
it.
finally, he plops out of the gate like the field's already on the turn.
Oh my God.
So I lost track of the horse because they'll show you the numbers, but he ended up. I mean, he was flying at the finish and ended up picking up 4th. So any kind of a reasonable start. This was a first-time starter.
Oh,
any kind of starter. If he breaks anywhere within 5 lengths of the field, he wins the race by 6.
Oh shit, that's impressive actually.
KD Cadis.
Oh my God.
So there'll be a little note. I mean, you could barely even see it. You need a magnifying glass to read this part of the racing form there, where they have the clocker's notes at the end, and it's usually in a lot of abbreviations that many people don't understand. So this will get by a lot of people. But, and you look for a horse and you see that it had a slow start and then finished 5th, 10 lengths back. Doesn't look all that consequential or significant. But in this case, I think this horse will blow away the next field that he goes against. Probably hoping a lot of people missed that. I don't know that you could have, but maybe by the time it comes around again, it goes a little bit unnoticed, and the horse goes off maybe 4-1. That'll be a nice ticket to cash. Nice $10 ticket there for every deuce. Lubie, don't be afraid to bet for yourself.
Okay.
When is it going to happen, though, that there's going to be some kind of revolt against the National Football League because of the horrendous officiating that is directly impacting people's bankrolls at levels that we've never seen before?
I love it.
And these guys are your partners, Roger Goodell. And you're hosing people and saying nothing about it. Nothing. There's no apology from the league. There's no, Pete Rose being out of the Hall of Fame while all this shit is going on is just, it's baffling. It's mind-boggling that anybody could be opposed to any form of degenerate. These guys that have been suspended, that are players, a joke. I mean, they should end up owning teams after a short period of time, after the lawsuits are all settled. Because what happened yesterday with these officials? How do you not make that call right in front of everybody? Guy shoves a guy in the back. He was the last possible tackler for the return man for the Patriots, and and no flag, and it changes everything. It changes A, the possible outcome of the game, and B, absolutely destroys anybody that had the Jets on the with the points in that ball game. And therefore, I rest my case. Do I need Barry Sheck to come in here and defend me?
No, I
What do
just
you think
like
about that, Mister Fung? I want
when
to see
you're
Goodell on the stand. What do you think about this one, Raj?
when you're financially involved, it seems to heighten your frustration and bitching. Is what I have noticed. Gonna be one to speak
I got crushed over the
on
weekend
the
in my
Jet Patriot.
straight up betting. Well, I don't pick the games, so I mean, I will say this: even having a few bucks on a ball game gives you, an exponentially higher interest level in anything that's happening out there on the field. All right, we're coming back with more. Hialeah Park, what a beautiful place, man! And I would imagine they're doing something special for Thanksgiving. I would check the website there. In fact, I should do it myself. I'm remiss here, but I'd be curious to see exactly what they have going on because they always have something great going on. And what's better than gambling your brains out on a Thanksgiving holiday? Don't tell me that they're closed on things. No, they wouldn't be because what casino would be? This is a great way to spend the time. You're with the family. You're going crazy. You're thinking, hey, let's go and take our chances on the slot machines over there, the Vegas style games that they have at Hialeah Park. It'd be great. You have the Champion Simulcasting Room, and there's usually some good racing taking place on Thursday. And so that'll be a lot of fun. And of course, poker, always great poker action at Hialeah Park, and a lot of good things happening for the players. Very favorable. Get a player's card when you come through the door. That's going to turn you on to a lot of amenities. A rich rewards program they have working at Hialeah Park, one of the best, one of the finest in the country. If you have a player's card from any other gambling entity and your double, super, platinum, gold, sealed, double wheel, secret, whatever, they will make you that same stature at Hialeah Park. So all of a sudden, with their rewards program, who knows? I mean, you may be entitled to things that you never even imagined, much like the Mustang over there at with their Caesar's Rewards card at Harris over in Atlantic City, where I opened the door to the room and I'm like, holy shit, what happened here? Ed McMahon just gave me a free house. Even if it's only for a couple of days, this is spectacular. And that's the kind of feeling you get with the rewards program at Hialeah Park. It really is great, especially for a local. And, this is a family-owned casino and operation. So great stuff happening there at all times. So a lot of entertainment, boxing coming up, a lot of big things happening in 2023. Frank Fiore very much on his game, as are all the people there at all times. Brunetti's doing a fine job, and we want to wish the best, of course, to Steve as a very courageous battle with cancer. Man, this guy's been through a lot. He just keeps the greatest attitude going. Fantastic. John Brunetti Jr. Always been really good and faithful to us here on the show. So we want to give thanks for that affiliation and association. And we want you to enjoy yourself like everybody does when they go to beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. Peel yourself off to Matt Monday. We always ask that question, the survey question. Maybe some people can answer on the chat line. What day of the week do people check out? And, of any sort of reality. And does this carry into like Christmas, New Year's? That week is a complete waste. We know that, right? No one's doing anything. Any significance. I mean, people are paying off the bribes that they have to pay at the end of the year, right? People in the construction industry are meeting people somewhere. Yeah, okay, no, don't mention it. Under the bridge, yeah. No, the cash, it'll be in the suitcase.
Under the bridge.
Don't let anybody know. Come alone.
Come alone. I
want to thank you for all those permits you approved over the course of the year. No, there's a lot of cash being exchanged, but no, and not much happens in terms of business. I have a few things pending that I'm very optimistic about, Louis, even though they're long shots, but they do come in. I mean, we had a $100 horse win the last race yesterday in Aqueduct.
Oh, nice. Oh, geez.
I didn't have them, but,
Oh,
I'm saying the long shots do come in. I've been doing well at the track ever since the Atlantic City venture, so been having a good time with that. But but nothing gets accomplished, you would think, during that week. But do people check out at Thanksgiving already?
It's weird.
Is this the end of the business world for
it used to be Wednesday was when people checked out. We've gotten into this world where people, like, your birthday is a week or a month now. Like, people, I think, start checking out now I don't know. My father-in-law is going to do a little work today. My mother-in-law is off all week.
Yeah.
Shirley, who's the working demon, even said I'm working, but I'm not, which I don't know what that means because I either work or I don't. Like on
You
this,
better
she's
hope she
working.
works, Libby, the way you're spending money.
No,
Yeah.
it ain't. She doesn't carry me as much as everyone thinks she does. I am.
Yeah.
That's why I'm stressed out all the time. My weight matters.
I would imagine, yeah.
So, anyways,
The money you were making here this week is not going to stretch very far in Hawaii, I would imagine.
it will not. So that's why I'm very stressed out, as you can
Yeah.
tell. So
Maybe you can get a tour of the Dole plant. Is that in Hawaii?
it
That'd be
should
your
be
only
actually.
feature.
And I'm a
Forget
big
about
fan.
kite surfing and all
I
this other
feel
stuff.
like it should be Wednesday, but probably not. Probably tomorrow you'll see people winding down. What's interesting is usually Black Friday categorically was off. I know a few people that are working Friday, which is new. That's new.
We are. Yeah. Look at us.
We are. But I'm saying like, and we're only doing because I think we're doing a remote. Like if we weren't doing a remote, we probably would just be off. But we may not do this show. I don't know. We'll see. If you really want off, you can have off. It's more Mayo wanted to do a remote for World
I
Cup.
love being with the people. Well, what does this take, really? I mean, I didn't do much over the weekend because,
I'm
I'd
jealous.
gone out, and did my
a lot of
degenerate thing on Friday. And then Saturday, I took like my walk of life and kind of packed it in for the day. Watched a lot of college football. And then yesterday it was so abysmal outside in terms of the rain, and I got caught in it. Right, I tried to go out do my walk during the little window there. It was only drizzling,
No
but
way.
by the time I turned for home, my friend,
Yep.
I was
Rained
getting
all day
smacked
here.
in the face. I mean, thank goodness I was a mutter. Now I don't normally care about getting wet here in Florida. I just imagine like that you had walked into the ocean. So what's the big deal? So you're wet for a while, and it's not like you're getting that freezing rain where you're thinking, "Oh, geez, remember my mother's voice, my paranoid Jewish mother's voice is in my head whenever I'm walking and it starts raining like that." And she's like, "You better come inside. You're going to catch a cold."
Yeah.
But that's not really a thing here.
No,
You don't get a cold from walking around in the rain. I guess if you walked into some air conditioning and sat there for an hour while you were soaking wet, that might be prohibitive. But in general, there's really no consequence to walking in the rain, is there, other than having wet clothing when you get home and having the usual stare down with the Mustang as you come in the door? You're not going to come in the house wearing that, are you? I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Dress outside? Women come up with the most preposterous, circumstances that you should operate under. No, like I should just strip naked outside there and bring the clothes in a bag.
I have no comment.
It's fucking insane. It just is.
No comment. I agree, and I
Is this all part of a Hialeah Park commercial? I'm losing
sure.
track.
I mean, it all lets you know.
Jim Sarney says that walking helps fight dementia. I find that not to be the case,
I was
Jim.
gonna say, okay, maybe you need to walk more.
No, this is bad because I've been doing the same walk here. I've been living in this place like a little over a year now, and I love it. It's going to be great. It's going to turn out fantastic once
It's
I
gonna be great.
put the finishing touches on it.
That's my
No, I'm at a stage like you where I've got to do a lot of things to this place to bring it up to the standard that I'm looking for. But once there, I mean, you have a lot of space and you're across the street from the beach, which is fantastic. But so I've taken the same walk along A1A, for over a year now, and I would say, outside of the days that I'm out of town, I missed maybe a handful of days of doing a walk. Very rare that I miss it, including yesterday, which would have been easy to blow that off, would it not, Libby? And just say, hey, it's too wet outside. Forget about it. I'll take the day off. If you, I'm going to have to wear like an alternative pair of sneakers today, because these two shoes are soaking wet. Just absolutely soaking wet from yesterday's activity. But Jim says that walking helps fight dementia. And yet, when I was walking yesterday, and now I've walked the same walk, then so what is that, about over 300 times? And I couldn't remember the name of the two streets that are the final two streets that I pass. One is Bel Air Avenue, and the other is Coral Ridge Drive or something. Coral Reef. There's always a Coral Reef drive somewhere in Florida,
beach,
right?
yeah.
Like every town has a Coral Reef drive, do they not?
By the beach for sure.
But it took me a while. It's one of those things with the delayed memory where you can't remember. Like number 7 was Mickey Mantle, but it hits you like the next day. Oh yeah, Mickey Mantle. I knew that was it. So I'm not sure, Jim, if that's really true, because it seems like it's expediting the onset of dementia.
It's bringing it closer.
Same walk, 300 plus times, and I couldn't remember the name of the street until I got there, and I had to read the sign. And I'm like, wow, Deef, how do you even find your way home? It's incredible. All right, we're coming back with more. Wow, killed an hour there, and we're not even warmed up yet. So good to be with you guys. Tomorrow, then, we'll have John Conchemi.
Yes.
And also Wednesday, we're going to do a little trivia challenge, so get involved in that. Thursday, we're off, and then Friday, we'll have our full-blown
And I
Degenerate
think we'll
Friday.
do a little Tony Segreto Wednesday as well because we want to get our trivia
Oh,
challenge.
yeah.
We also want to get kicking it old school. Keep everyone happy. So we're going to have a very busy week, and it will be somewhat shortened.
How does
So-
Segreto spin this one, though, with his Hurricanes?
Oh, the Canes. He said he's been clear that it's disappointing. They should have done better, but he has faith in Mario to fix it. That's really the company line. That's what every Cane fan's telling me. I'm like, okay. I'm like,
How difficult is that to see, or is it something?
yeah, that's my problem. Is what are you? That's my problem. I'm not saying you fire the guy. What I'm saying is,
Yeah. Well,
what are you-
obviously they're not going to do that. I mean,
what are you seeing that gives you confidence? Well, what he did at Oregon. But this isn't the same situation then. What he started out as the OC, whatever you want to say Taggart was, he wasn't the head coach the first year that they did have success. Then he had a Justin Herbert that he actually ruined because most people didn't even know Justin Herbert was as good as he was because of Mario Cristobal.
Right.
Like, what is it they're giving you? They every year lost 2 to 3 games that they shouldn't have. Like why do you have this confidence in him to fix the thing? Because he's a Cane? Like I don't get it. Like I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of it. He was a popular Hurricane player, and
love
the Hurricane fans have been buying into that whole notion that keep this thing in house. So going all the way back to Larry Coker. Remember, it was like a revolution that sit-ins were being staged to have Larry Coker become the head coach of the Hurricanes when Butch Davis left. And Butch left him. I mean, with a talent-enriched roster that would rival any in the history of college football. I mean, you could talk about any of the great Nebraska teams, Oklahoma, Penn State. I mean, any of these teams, like USC back in the day. Which wow, that was a thrill in Manila too, wasn't it? The USC UCLA. Did you catch that?
You must have loved that. That was one of the rare games I got. You must have loved that because it's like the Warrior basketball early on when their defense was sort of but their offense was good. Because there was no defense. That game
Zero defense. USC can't stop.
At the end.
They couldn't stop the Song Girls from
I feel like a
marching down the field.
Football fan going, "Where's the defense?"
No, it was a very entertaining ball game. I mean, whatever side you were on, I happened to be laying 2 with USC in that ball game.
Nice. Oh, Jesus.
After getting crushed on the college card.
I got close.
All of a sudden, Francesco's turned into Brandon Lang. He's on like an ending roll through the weekend where he was handing me winner after winner, and then all of a sudden I just got annihilated. Now, if it wasn't for USC, I would have been swept 0-6 on the college football slate. Swept. And they barely. I mean, that was a very lucky cover to get that and get that game at -2. But that was always a classic series. I remember covering a few USC UCLA games in my lifetime when I was a reporter at the Ontario Daily Distort. Yesterday's news tomorrow, of course, being the motto. And it was always great. But USC was sort of a dominant force back then, and they're trying to return to that now. UCLA, you would have thought, wow, in there with a real shot. Because the quarterback, unfortunately, they had a lot of turnovers in the game. That's what really killed them. Think about that. They had 45 points, and I believe, what would they have, 2 or 3 picks and a couple of fumbles, UCLA? So imagine that. They could have scored 80 on the USC defense.
Probably.
If USC makes it into the college football Final Four, that would, I mean, imagine. Yeah. And a fumble or two also. I mean, they turned the ball over an enormous number of times in that game.
Jesus.
But a track meet back and forth. It was a lot of fun to watch. If you like big plays in a ball game and no defense, that was the game to tune into. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. We'll take up until 9 o'clock here on the Defo Show, as we always do, 7 to 9 Eastern Time, and everything's archived on South Florida Live. The Mike Mayo Lunchbox comes your way, 12 o'clock today, and I think I already have it in my mind.
I want that sandwich. What are you drooling? What are you thinking?
You know me, man. I love that potato knish.
Oh, the knish.
Grandpa's. Yeah.
I'm telling you, you should try the corned beef hash one. We got it last time. It's really good. Like it's different. I know you want the standard. You're old school.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I probably shouldn't eat it all. I mean, when I get down there, I'm going to try not to. Maybe I'll, box something up and take it home because Thanksgiving, you do have to kind of lighten up a little bit over the next couple of days, don't you?
My mom started prepping this weekend for Thanksgiving, which is
Oh, yeah?
Thursday. Yes. My dad's sending me texts. My phone died. I opened up to a. Why does your mother do this? What's wrong with her? Why does she go so crazy? She loves having everyone over, but all she
How many
does is
people are going to be over?
right now just our family. I'm working. Shirley's family may join. They're trying to figure out their plans. So it's not like we're having 30 people. My mom just. I told her in college was my favorite holiday. So ever since then, and she's always been crazy about it, but she's like ramped up.
No, I'm a huge fan of Thanksgiving. I love it. Yeah, I really do. I mean, I'm a big fan of all the food.
With mayo, but let me ask you, because I'm new to the Christmas tree. You've been doing it your whole life, even when you're younger. What are your thoughts on? Because our world today is after Halloween, people start getting into Christmas mode, which is annoying to me because I love Thanksgiving. If you're getting your tree, get it the day after Thanksgiving. Where do you sit on that? Like I'm always because Shirley would have gotten it 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah. You know me. If I'm paying big money for something that I consider to be just a blatant holiday ripoff, like a Christmas tree, I want to use it for as long as I can. So I'm lined up, but when they haven't even put all of the netting around the spot that they're going to be selling the Christmas trees. I'm surprised too when you come to one of these Christmas tree places how sophisticated sometimes they are in terms of the way they do business, because you're thinking this is some hillbilly from Tennessee who just brought a bunch of trees down on a truck. He's going to sell them here, and it's not the case at all, man.
You haven't been to Home Depot. Home Depot is very systematic. Yeah. They don't mess
you think
around.
You're at Lowe's. I mean, it's unbelievable the way they have things going. And then some guy with no teeth loads up the tree on your car, and he manages to do a masterful job. No, I want every ounce of mileage out of it I can. It's like I will sit in my car if I have 10 minutes left on a parking meter. I will sit in the car with it running for 9 minutes just so I don't overpay for parking.
You're worse than I am.
I've thought about it, though.
Oh, my God.
Tell me it hasn't crossed your mind, people.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I'm saying I never did
I just hate getting ripped off, like blatantly ripped off. I do on things like that. I told you, I was always paranoid in taxi cabs. I was always watching the meter.
Oh, those are the worst.
And I was thinking, why is that thing still moving, man? We haven't moved, 3 feet yet.
That's a positive Uber to me is you're paying and they can't fuck you. Once you pay it, you pay it. I hate taxis. You're like, we haven't gone anywhere. It's gone up $3. I'm like, we haven't moved.
I mean, you would take the same ride any number of times. When I was traveling a lot, you take a cab to the airport, different cities, and it was amazing, the fluctuation in the price. Especially Vegas was famous for that. If they took the back road there or whatever that was, and they looped you all the way around the city there. So, getting from the airport to the strip, relative to inflation, it would have been cheap. But, let's say it was a $40 cab ride, and all of a sudden it was 60. And you're like, what? I thought you took the highway here.
Exactly.
There's a reason. They put this in there so it'd be easier to get to this.
Fucking jerk off.
You're already down 60. You haven't even made your first pitch. I hate it when they made you pay to get into racetracks. I really did. You were out like $12 before you went through the door. Before you got to the windows. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Be with you. A lot of stuff to analyze here, of course. And Lubie, you're doing a good job of faking your way through it for having seen nothing.
I know it. I mean, we always have an idea. I'm just saying, usually I watch like game to game, and I just kept track of highlights and scores, and I feel bad doing that. But like I knew outcomes and I knew the big storyline. I just didn't know the refs took away a game.
Oh no! Look. In general, if I'm a Patriot fan, do I want the refs? It doesn't matter. If they make the call, the Patriots are going to win the game. The difference was the point spread.
Yeah.
Although there was no guarantee, obviously, because Folk had already missed a couple from inside 40 yards. So, and it would have been only time left if they had thrown a flag for them to attempt a field goal. And it would have been, 23, so you're talking about, well, they would have pushed them back, 10 yards or 15. It would have been a fairly long field goal. So that game might have continued and gone to overtime. And, then all you want to do is win the coin toss, and you're going to cover the point spread. And the other game, this fugazi rule that they have where you don't get the ball. They announce that everybody's going to get the ball, and a chance to have the football before overtime, unless the team scores a touchdown or there's a defensive score, which means every team is not going to get a chance to have the ball by the rule itself. And Vegas went in. I had Denver, unfortunately, which is regrettable because the way Russell Wilson's playing. Although he wasn't half bad yesterday, and Vegas got the ball in overtime and scored a touchdown on the opening possession. So the Raiders got a win for Josh McDaniels, and so there were two games that hung in the balance there. I got the wrong way on both of them, and or ended up the wrong way on both of them. And you're looking at that thinking, no wonder gamblers end up talking to themselves at a very young age, just babbling like I am now. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that
The time.
it's 8:07.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about except
Gambling.
to hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubitz. And, it's interesting because, I'm a big fan of speeches. And there were a lot of interesting speeches that were given over the weekend. You had, what is this Jewish Federation for Republicans out in Las Vegas? What are they doing, man? That sounds like a Fugazi outfit, no?
There's something wrong with you. Why would you?
Jewish Federation, I don't know what exactly the title of it is, but it's essentially Jews for, the antithesis
Nazism?
of Jesus. Yeah,
Jews for Nazism?
Jews for fascism, I guess.
My problem is it's a party that embraces Nazism. So
all right, so all of the big guns that are going to be running for the 2024 presidential election, are going to be trying to get the nomination. They were there, including Ron DeSantis, who, for my money, is just a disgusting, spineless piece of crap.
Yes.
All of these boisterous claims he makes about how wonderful Florida is it really all that wonderful? The only thing that makes it wonderful is the sunshine. Outside of that, and the people, for the most part, here in Broward County, especially, kind of a great place to hang out. I don't think there's any question about that. We could do with a little less of the tourism from certain
northern countries.
I don't want to say any more about that.
Exactly.
Hey, no, we love our Canadian friends. We really do.
Nothing wrong with them. You're the one.
Certain provinces, I was going to say. Provinces. Let's narrow it down. Maybe to Montreal. I don't even want Jean Beliveau coming down here in the wintertime. No, it's great. You know what? Every faction of people has its people that are a nuisance, and maybe we shouldn't paint a broad brush across all of them just because there are a couple of cheapskates that leave like 10 cents for a tip in a restaurant, and are just obnoxious and no. I see you got me started there, but. Anyway, yeah. So DeSantis is up there, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm thinking that was the worst. When I see these poor, people that are just, risking literally risking death, not only for themselves, but I mean they're schlepping children through like the Rio Grande. You're thinking, they're doing anything in their power just to have a shot.
Mm.
Everybody deserves a shot. You're thinking now it may not be conducive to having the country be in perfect condition, and maybe there's no great way to legislate this. You wish they would work on something that what would be appealing and appeasing to everybody. All right, I don't know what the answer is. I'm not sophisticated enough to tell you, hey, I have the answers to all immigration problems, but
I
I'm
agree.
in general very sympathetic to
Yes.
anybody that takes it upon themselves to just abandon
Better
everything,
life, exactly.
get on a raft, and waltz out in the middle of the night into the Florida Straits. All right. So I mean, to take advantage of these people, it's one thing to say, "Hey, listen, man, I can't help you, Jack." Right? All right, you came here. We don't want you here. We don't have space for you. We can't accommodate you. We don't have taxpayer money to help you. We don't want you just running around, crazy, undocumented, and doing things that otherwise, it would be unfair and menacing to other people. And I'm not talking about criminality or any of this other stuff because there are criminals in every faction too. So to
Yes.
just say, hey, all of these guys, and not every one of these people that is, risking death to come here is necessarily coming here to go ahead and engage in criminal activity.
It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
The statistic, and they do have statistics on it. The statistics show most of the crimes that we bitch about are people that live here.
All right, and everybody should be sensitive to it because we were all, the product
Yes,
of
in some form.
immigration. Yeah,
Yes. Even if you did it legally, okay, good for you. You were allowed to do it legally.
yeah,
That's my problem. Look, it's not a simple thing, and it's not simple the other way. Like, I understand you can't just let everyone in. Totally get it. But I also, the ones that are like, turn their nose up at immigrants, those people. What do you mean? The people that were you 100 years ago, you 200 years ago, you 50 years ago, you 30 years ago? Like, how do you do, like, the Cubans will get here, and because they have the wet foot, dry foot garbage, be like,
yeah.
well, those people shouldn't be allowed in. You were allowed in.
Imagine they go to instant replay, right? Now you see that the toe on the sand, but there's still a little water there on that.
I
How the hell did they decide that one, man?
don't
That
understand.
is a bizarre. That's the most bizarre, law that I've ever seen. Anyway, I mean, obviously, it's not any kind of a solution to the problem. To
Yeah.
have the wet foot, dry foot law, or a lot of these other things that pop up whenever you're talking about immigration issues. But in general, I would, who wouldn't be sympathetic to some poor person that had no chance, was under, immense tyranny from gang violence and all kinds of craziness and government oppression, and they just want to take a shot. I'm willing to at least, acknowledge that. Wow, that takes a lot of courage. Number one,
Yes.
and number two, if you're not going to be able to accommodate them, you can't loan your friend the money. But I mean, do you then go out of your way to make sure that nobody else does?
Exactly. You don't spit in his face. Like,
Right.
you don't mock him. You're like, I'm sorry. But if someone else helps him, you're happy for him.
Right. Or do you turn them in on some phony criminal charge, because, the person's down on their luck? So for Ron DeSantis to go and pick up these people, these poor Venezuelan immigrants, and befuddle them into thinking that they were actually going to be going someplace that was going to be to their benefit, and then just ship them arbitrarily when they were no threat to the state of Florida. There were no imposition to the state of Florida. They had nothing to do with the state of Florida, and go out of your way to do this. I mean, I think the guy should have been brought up on just gross criminal charges, and then there are assertions that his buddy, one of his big donors or something, was the person that they chartered the flight off, and they paid him like an outrageously inflated fee to be a part of this whole orchestrated fraud and crime that was committed by Ron
Sure.
DeSantis.
Oh, no, you had to know that there was someone benefiting. They never do something without someone making money on it.
But who could do this to people? I mean, that would be my thing. Is there zero compassion in somebody that's in a position of power in government where you actually would just use these people in that fashion, the most unsuspecting of people, and do it to make a grandstand play? I mean, it's people's lives that you're talking about at that point,
Look,
and
that's
it's a
the thing.
disgrace.
It's why you and I do this, and we're not running for office. I understand someone has to make the tough decisions. I understand, especially when you're in high office, a million things are coming at you from in different directions. You can't say yes to everything. Totally get it. But there's a way to say no. Like, there's different ways to have tact.
Yeah.
We can't let you in here, but maybe there's something we can do. Maybe there's some olive branch. Maybe
Anything. Take the 625,000 that you spent on flying them to Martha's Vineyard and distribute it among the people. If you're going to do something, with this capital, or get them a few meals, something, or whatever you can do. Anyway, so I mean, I have nothing. I couldn't be any more appalled than I am by the sight of Ron DeSantis and all of his sanctimonious. I mean, and the great thing now is that Trump is trashing him, and it's the first time I ever agree with Donald Trump on anything.
I know. That's what's so funny. I find
It's like, you know what, Donnie, you're finally right about something.
he does.
Never mind what you had to say about Fauci. I mean, you're finally right about somebody. He is an asshole. All right, so I'm watching those speeches. And Mike Pence gets up there. I mean, Pence, you talk about a guy that
It's a cardboard.
vapid. My God, what is up with that guy? Outside of actually not, going along with the Trumpster on his little scheme there to overturn the election and fuck up the Electoral College, which was his benefactor. I mean, he did benefit. Obviously, he lost the original election to Hillary in the popular vote. He never said anything about that.
No.
He wasn't complaining that was rigged. No, he lost the election by like a couple of million votes.
4 million.
And ended up winning the presidency in spite of it because of this fugazi system that we have that goes back to, as we said, gun control laws or whatever. The Second Amendment, which was a law that was made, and it was an addition to the Constitution that was made when people were firing muskets.
Yes, literally.
Remember, they used to have to load the thing up and shove a stick in there, and then by the time they got around to the second shot, the guy was already gone.
But in this way, they use the term militia, and the only time we use the term militia in modern day is when we're watching CNN and they're outside of Waco, Texas. Like, militia is not a positive term in 2000 period. And that's in the phrase that they hold on so tightly to.
Yeah, I mean, they had this thing on, is it Griffin, last night on CNN, the woman that was shot, the representative from Arizona. This was like 2011, and a bunch of people were killed. Some crazy nut came out and they shot her in. A remarkable recovery by this woman. Also, very, very interesting as you look at the guy that's the head of the NRA. Wow, does he look evil?
Gabby Giffords.
Giffords, yeah.
And it was 2011. Good job by you.
Yeah,
January 8th, 2011.
I was watching. It was hard to watch because I mean, it's just it's crushing to think that here we were talking about this in 2011, and that was before Sandy Hook, and she was screaming, "Hey, we have to do something about this," then just what over the weekend we had another like mass shooting at a club in Colorado.
Oh, geez, I missed that. Oh God, are you kidding me?
Oh my God! I mean, just disgusting. What's going on, and these guys are all listening to this Giffords and saying, well, and they acted like they were moved. And I'm looking at all of these fools. The laws are still the same.
Nothing's
still same problems still exist. So anyway, all these guys are speaking at this Jews for Republicans thing. They had everybody, man. They had Pence. The Trumpster got up there, man. Does he have that stupid smug look, Donnie?
I know.
You got to get rid of that. I mean, is that really going to work on people again? Are we that stupid?
I mean, we are. I didn't use a vote on him. Hundreds of millions of people that voted for him.
Well, he gets up there and you got that. Oh my God! I mean, it's just it's incredible. But I mean, apparently, that doesn't appear to be as much of a threat, as it might have been. Say. Well, I don't know that he was ever going to get elected again. I can't imagine. But they're all giving these speeches, and yet all of them, as much as I am reviled by all of these people, none of them compared in their insanity to the FIFA president addressing the press. See, you thought, what is the point?
I was like, where is he bringing this to? You had me confused. I'm like, I don't mind talking about this, but there's.
I've been working with this guy for 12 years, and I think he's lost it. Yeah.
No, there's a
Sarney was right. I don't know. No, he was wrong about walking in dementia. I'm doing plenty of walking, Jim. I am.
It ain't fixing shit.
No, but this was one of the most outrageous. I mean, we talk about some of the stupidity, and we love playing examples of outrageously dumb things that were said during speeches. Yes. And especially sports speeches. And there have been some great sports speeches, and there have been some really foolish ones, yes. Right? Like the Shanahan thing, where, well, I don't even know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. It's like, well, then go drop dead. Why don't you just answer the poor schmuck's question?
Exactly.
Is Jimmy Garoppolo going to be on your roster?
Exactly. How hard is that to answer?
Woo-hoo, that's a tough one. Wow. That's I don't know. Right? Guy's starting quarterback. He's playing in Mexico City tonight. I hope they go down in flames.
Okay.
Anyway,
so-
did you see this guy? And his name escapes me. I don't know that I ever knew it, but I heard it obviously. And
He's the president
wow,
now? Is the FIFA president now?
he's the FIFA president now, right? Sepp Blatter's
Gianni
gone.
Infantino?
How did Sepp Blatter get acquitted of taking bribes when we're looking at this Cutter situation?
They all were taking bribes. If the people, that's my favorite, when the people looking into things are the ones involved. Like, duh. What do you think is going to happen?
What kind of sport is this, man? Which is more crooked? I guess FIFA or or cycling.
Cycling, the
What do you
W.
think?
Whenever we do it, to me, it's the Final Four, pun intended.
Yeah.
FIFA, cycling, the WBO or WBC,
World Boxing Council, yeah.
and NCAA. There's different levels. I guess thousands of people haven't died, while they're gripping and stealing from the kids in the NCAA, but they all have to me, very similar tendencies and tactics to how
Amazing.
they lead.
Such criminal activity. Anyway, this guy is saying, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with what's going on here, man. You guys are like way off base."
That's good.
And anybody that mentions this, obviously, is is somebody that should receive no consideration as a human being whatsoever. And he justified everything, and he thought that everything was on the level with the awarding of the World Cup games to Qatar in what was that 2010? They did this.
Yeah.
So yeah. And remember that? I'll never forget watching that. And the Sheik gets up, and he's got two babes. I mean, outstanding. It was like he was David Hasselhoff in the opening scene of Baywatch. Just got, cufflinks, beautiful blondes draped on each arm. And, he was like shocked. He feigned surprise. That guy was a good actor, man. Whoever the Sheik is, is it the same guy that's in charge of Qatar?
I don't know, but I love it now.
Back
So
then?
I was watching with I think my mother-in-law yesterday when I was getting ready to go paint,
Yeah.
and they were doing or was it?
Did they show the
Saturday?
announcement, the original announcement, by any chance, as part
I
of the
wish
coverage?
they did.
Because that
They
was a
did.
disgrace.
The opening ceremonies, and they kept the guy. I don't know who the guy was that was on. Maybe it was someone from there, because he was like, they showed the one Sheik guy helping the other Sheik guy sign a jersey, and he's like, "This moment."
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I'm like, my heart is swelling. I'm like, from the heat. I'm like, what is it swelling? I'm like, dude, stop! Like, this
It's
is
1,000 fucking
only
degrees. I
garbage.
mean,
They're like, look at the people, look at them. I'm like, I can't see them. They're all covered. Are there women? Every commercial is just a bunch of men. There's no
Yeah.
women in any commercial or any.
they don't allow women to live. I mean, in this place.
I'm like,
That's
this
another
is
issue that
fucking
was
fart. I'm like,
probably
come on.
passed over by Alexei Lalas on the analysis of the game.
Oh,
Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, how much of a detraction is that from the action there? Did the people just ignore all of it and think, oh well, this is wonderful. We're playing soccer, yay, football.
Well, the funny thing is, Andy just said it, and I remember when we play it, and I found it. We'll play it again. And I'll try and clean it up. But when we used to play, we used to have the video, and I remember Andy's not wrong. Like when they're like, from, and then the guy gets up before he says Qatar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like the guy on The
waiting.
Price is Right that already knows that his name is picked. Joe, come on down. But he's in the back row. Just they cued him. Get up, Joe. By accident, the wrong camera was on the guy, and he was already standing.
Already walking. Oh my god.
I'm not sure I can embrace an event as significant as it is, obviously, to many people around the world. But I don't know that I can embrace this event and say, wow, even though I don't have a real vested interest of any type in soccer, whether it's emotional or, from the intellectual standpoint of trying to figure out how boring of a chess match is it? Are there boring chess matches? There must be, right?
Yes,
Where
chess.
it's going to end in a draw.
The whole
You've been
match is
playing
boring.
chess by mail with some guy that's in a Russian penal colony. You helped him do 12 of the 15 years he was assigned for, smoking a joint.
Exactly. For jaywalking.
That thing, that whole thing with the penal
That's
colony.
crazy.
My God, Brittany Griner. Oh my God! Imagine you're going from like being this celebrated athlete to that.
Yep. Yep.
That's kind of a harsh reality. You know they're going to make her schwitz that out for a long time. That prisoner swap isn't happening
No,
anytime soon. They could have this killer back, this arms dealer,
that's what's so funny is they actually
right?
accepted the
Probably
stupid
Putin's best friend, and he says, "Nah,
It's not
hold
good
on to Griner here."
It's not good enough.
Crazy stuff.
Oh my god.
All right, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Wow, I mean,
Yes. Yes.
look,
Yes.
we have. I figured out we only have till February. Because once the football season's over, that's it. They're
sort
going
of
to
the
cancel
point.
this contract if we don't get down there.
That's sort of the point.
I know we love them, and we talk about them with, great platitudes, and it seems like hyperbole, but it's all true. And all you have to do is take a look at the shots there, the clips, and those pictures. Even though, as Rod Stewart would say, it's worth 1,000 words, right?
Yep.
They tell a story. They don't necessarily tell the total story. Because the vibe that you get when you're there, and then the great food and drink. We really didn't show too much. We did show a couple of items there, but we didn't have a picture of like the Italian fisherman pizza or those nachos that you and the professor knocked off. Or then, you're talking, about people that were sitting in a very romantic setting off. If you don't want to be like a rebel rouser there and having a great time listening to music and, whooping it up and hollering and, watching the ball games on TV. The romantic dinner is a very big possibility there also, right?
Yes.
Where you're getting your pistachio encrusted fillet of medallions of whatever you wanted, something that you would find on like a South Beach restaurant menu, and it's right there and not at South Beach prices. We're talking about the Keys here. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. It's a party inside of a party inside of a party, man. I mean, it's just absolutely great. Great food and drink, as we said. They have the sports bar there. They have the tiki bar set up. You have the pool area. You have water sports available to you. You're right there on the Bayside. Incredible sunsets. And they have live music going all day Saturday and Sunday. And great accommodations, too. You can't beat it. It's the ultimate Keys resort. It's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Check out the website and really look into those accommodations. They're kind of unique, but it's spectacular. As nice as the room was that we had at Harrah's in Atlantic City, and this was tremendous. Nothing really compared with the place that we were staying at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. So that's jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com for the accommodations. And then, of course, if you're rolling out of Florida City or coming back home from any other Keys destination, this is a must stop, man. I mean, it's going to be the iconic place in the Keys as time passes, but just absolutely great right now. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, we're coming back with more here on the Defo Show. Happy to have you with us on a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday. Tossed a couple of things around during the week here, as we'll have John Conchemi tomorrow.
Yes.
And then, of course, at Thanksgiving Day now, a triple header in the National Football League.
It is. It is.
A triple header. The Cowboys looked great yesterday, did they not? What was going on there? Was
I
that
don't
just
understand.
Minnesota looking bad?
Well,
7 sacks of Kirk Cousins. 7 sacks, Mike
Jesus.
Lubie Lubitz.
That's a lot.
And they crushed this guy. I know a lot of people like to rip Kirk Cousins, but obviously he was doing well enough to have a team at 8-1. I don't know if it was all him. They were like pulling miracles out of their ass all the time, the Minnesota Vikings. No, they really were. I mean, miracles, like they did in the game the previous week against the Bills, which was now very helpful to the Miami Dolphins as the Bills got it back on track yesterday. So what do we have? Thursday, NFL.
It's usually the Lions and the Cowboys.
Bills and the Lions to start it out. Cowboys, Giants. The G-men were exposed, I think, a little bit yesterday, were they not?
And
They didn't look all that great.
They haven't been great all year. They just have won a lot of games that.
We got your Daniel Jones as opposed to mine.
I mean, they played a lot of garbage, and they've been able to beat the garbage. I mean, they haven't
Vikings, Patriots.
That's your third game, so it's a decent game.
Decent game, yeah. I mean, could you say that Belichick is in line for Coach of the Year? Patriots were supposed to suck. Right now, I'm giving my vote to Ron Rivera, Coach of the Year, Ron Rivera. The Commanders had no chance to do anything this year. They're sitting there at 6-5.
Oh, sure.
Which, unfortunately for them, they're in the NFC East, where you have two teams with big upside winning records, including the Philadelphia Eagles, who eked one out yesterday. My God. I don't know. I mean, there's still time for. Is there time for a team to get hot and make some kind of run? Who's in a position to do that in the NFL, in your opinion?
I mean,
I mean, the Dolphins would be.
I'm gonna say
Is that possible?
their
Somebody
schedule.
wanted to put money on them to win the Super Bowl. Would
I don't
that
know
have
if I'm
been?
going there, but this schedule that seemed impossible. The Packers are very mortal. The
Yes.
Eagles have come back to earth a lot. Like the Bills
Don't look so great. Bills vulnerable.
Jets will be down here. The Patriots aren't scary. Like it, I
No.
mean, and they both their defense and offense are playing as well as anyone in football. The league is coming to where everyone was scared for the Dolphins because of this and that. They're rising up where everyone's coming back a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
Their offense is more balanced and just
Yes.
as explosive as any of these offenses, like Kansas City, where they could score in virtually any play, but they haven't been overwhelming. I mean, it's not like they're putting up 40 and 50 like they were a few years ago. The Dolphins might have the most potent and efficient offense in the National Football League right now.
Well, because most
Is
teams
that
are
possible?
either they run really well, like the Bears, but the passing game is sort of a disaster, or if you're the Chiefs, they don't run well. The Chargers are sort of like Eckler's their running back, but it's mostly catching out of the backfield. Like the Dolphins have won without running, and then the last game they ran the crap out of the ball, and they're getting better running the ball. That's McDaniel's idea, is to not have to rely on one thing. So
they have a lot of balance. They really do.
They do. They have a lot of talent.
And they spread the ball around in the passing game, even though it's dominated by Waddle and Hill. Very interesting. I don't know what kind of price you get on that. The Miami Dolphins, and you're assuming. I mean, and Houston is kind of thrown in the towel. They were getting shut out yesterday by the Commanders, and then finally came back, lost at like 23-10 or something like that. So the score was a little closer than it was. I think 23-zip at one point throughout that ball game. But yeah. Who else would you go with? I mean, if you were just looking at yesterday's game, obviously Dallas looked great.
The Dallas is a team I was writing off because their defense had been great all year, but it was supposed to be garbage. So I kept waiting for it to come back to the pack, which it hasn't. And Prescott's done his job, and they're running the ball really well with Tony Pollard. So Dallas is better than I thought they were. I got to give them credit. And the rest of the NFC sort of, the Bucks. I don't care what people are trying to make the Bucks into; they're not good. The Rams are horrendous.
Rams
Seahawks
are done.
Were propped up. The Niners, no one trusts Jimmy G. I mean, the Cowboys are anyone in that conference.
They're 8-point favorites over the Cardinals tonight, the Niners, and already posted as 8.5 over the Saints for next week.
Well,
the 49ers. I don't see them deserving of that kind of respect.
No. It's not them. It's more the
very
opponent.
Suspect, yeah. All right. It's interesting because you would have to say that you could make a case if the Dolphins' defense can progress a little bit.
Keep growing, yep.
And there's still, I mean, after 10 games, there's still like a long way to go with 7 games left in the season.
Yep.
A lot can change, but we'll follow that obviously very closely. In the college football scene, you will see what? Georgia's still number 1, although they didn't look great this week. They were lucky to survive, were they not?
Yep. They struggled.
Yeah, who looked great? Wow, South Carolina.
Struggled. UF, who isn't up there, but lost to Vandy. Michigan was messing around.
They were done. They were out of the picture. OOP. They were about to go into Nick Saban territory. They lose that ball game.
It was really weird.
Ohio State was kind of staggering there. They ended up pulling away late. And TCU with a 1-point victory.
Baylor. They were losing most of that game. It's a really.
That was a last-second field goal, literally a last-second field goal. That won it for TCU also, didn't it?
USC went down to the wire. North Carolina was a team that people thought could challenge for the ACC title, and then maybe if they won that with only one loss.
Remember Tennessee, where it was a hot commodity a couple of weeks ago when they beat Alabama?
By an average South Carolina team. Yeah, it's a very weird weekend.
All right, so you have Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU staying there. USC is hovering around number 5 college football playoff rankings. LSU, they have a couple of losses, so that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yes.
And Clemson, who I was completely unimpressed by for the most part, although good enough to win, and had played Syracuse and now Miami in back-to-back weeks, and handled both with relative ease, and yet, well, Syracuse was sort of in that game for a while. Miami completely out of it right from the start. That's the other thing. I mean, would you not be able to coach a team to the point where they're at least able to? All right, like a fighter, you see somebody in a match, and the guy comes out of the promoter's locker room there, and he's got a record of 19-0, and he's fighting some guy from the Midwest, a nondescript guy, very pasty looking, who has a record as a pro of 32-14. And you know that guy is a professional. He's going to go in there. He's going to give you a couple of rounds worth of action. Maybe not put up much of a battle, but sort of be competitive while getting wiped out, if that makes any sense. And shouldn't you at least be there if you're the Hurricanes, where you're battling? All right, maybe by the third quarter they start to overwhelm you a little bit, but you shouldn't be out of it right from the start.
Well, look, in
Week
the
after week.
I don't know if I saw Dave Hyde. I mean, you can do the math on it, but I saw someone posted, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, it was that bad?" Because there was one point they were down by like 24-0, and then I guess they made 24-10. So I'm like, "Oh, look at them!" And then it was 40-10. But as an offense, and this is the guy they paid a lot of money to steal from Michigan. They had less than 100 yards of total offense for an entire game, and Clemson's defense was great. Right now, it's not. Right now, it's okay. It's a solid.
Jeremy
defense.
Shockey used to have over 100 yards of offense. All right, not the team.
The whole team, passing and running, was total under 100 yards when you account for sacks and stuff.
Oh, very weak. I mean, all the way around. Just ugly. I would imagine they get destroyed by Pittsburgh. Miss the bowl game.
I don't know if they're destroyed, but I don't know how they
destroyed.
Pittsburgh is playing better than they're not.
No, it really is. It's a baffling story. All right, so tomorrow I'll have a session with John Kajemi, and then Wednesday we're going to do a doubleheader, trivia challenge and Tony Segreto with a little old school, and then we won't be with you on Friday with our Degenerate Friday show because there'll be a lot of degenerate activity taking place over the weekend. And we'll come back with more here in a moment on the Defo Show. Now that. What's Mayo going to order today at Grandpa's? What do you think?
All right, I'm telling you right now, I want to try that thing we saw when we first went there, the sandwich that was an omelet. Like, that was freaking
Is he going to eat like a giant onion slice also, like he always does?
He always
like a giant raw onion.
I don't know, I'm a little
It's 8:38.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
The winner to organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
We now return to the Defo Show.
How do you justify the unjustifiable? I mean, that would be the question. And this goes all the way back to 2010 when that announcement was being made. And I would have to say that the speech that was given, this was your preliminary press conference before the World Cup actually kicked off there in Qatar, after all the speculation about how much bribery money was actually exchanged to Sepp Blatter and the boys there at FIFA. I would imagine it was rather substantial too, because I mean we're talking about a country that obviously is filthy rich. At least a handful of the people there are, and the rest of them are probably ensconced in dire poverty. But that was, I mean, never mind this Jews for Republicans. It was kind of reminiscent of the early Trump COVID-19 pressers, where he was suggesting things like gargling with chlorine to try and eradicate the symptoms and or the effects of COVID-19, while people were being zipped up in body bags by the hundreds of thousands. And this is what the guy came up with. Just the rambling words of what seemed like a complete and absolute fool. How did these guys end up in these positions? Why didn't we go? If you took the sports management course, remember at St. Thomas University where the Dolphins had the practice
That's how I got
facility?
my bachelor's in sports management from FSU.
Sports
So
management from FSU. I mean, how are you not like the head of FIFA?
I'm not grimy enough. You can't.
Are
grease
you
my
not
palms.
criminal enough to head one of these organizations? Why aren't you an executive with a bowl committee?
I have too much of a heart and soul, I guess.
Of what significance will these other bowl games be, by the
Oh,
way? I mean,
God.
outside of to the teams themselves. I mean, as you said, you feel like it's important for Mario Cristobal and the Hurricane football team to qualify for a bowl game. It's almost incredible to think that they would not. I didn't see them being that bad coming into the season. Did you? I
My
honestly,
problem is, and again,
I mean, maybe not great, but
when I fought with our friend, that is a friend, and it's a good dude. He also is close to Mario, so I understand, protecting your friend. When he was like, "Well, who had these expectations?" I'm like, "Everyone." I'm like, I didn't, because I knew it was year one, but they were ranked 16 to start the year. Their quarterback was in the Heisman discussion, and people talked about them winning the Coastal and being the second best team and challenging Clemson for the ACC. Like, that wasn't me. That was the program, the fans, the national media, the local media. Like, don't now go, well, you didn't know the disaster it was. I'm like, well, then Mario should have been.
how
really
did it get to
guiding
that
people
point,
down.
though? Yeah. I mean, it's insane to think because, as I recall, I mean, the whole thing with Manny Diaz was he had good players, but he wasn't a very good game day coach. And, that seemed to be the difference that people had with Diaz. He seemed to make bonehead moves a lot. And maybe he wasn't as astute and sound a recruiter as maybe Mario Cristobal could be, who's got an excellent proven track record and seems to be putting the program, back in action, at least when it comes to snaring, high profile recruits. That doesn't always get the job done, as we know, and you'd have to sustain that for some period of time. And even if you do, just look at Jimbo, as you said. Yeah. I mean, Nick Saban is able to do it in Alabama, but he also, I mean, has insane depth on his teams. And even he is now in what you would have to say a very suspect year by any standard that we're used to seeing and using as a measuring stick with Alabama. But so I don't know. It seems like you might be able to get yourself back into the picture if you did everything right. And one of the things that you would have to think, and I just, people always question this. This was a common sports talk topic. Hey, what difference does it make to have a coach? Your buddy Dan Levitard used to say the manager and the coach makes zero difference.
Yeah.
I would argue that in all of the sports, probably the most significant one where a coach can have influence would be football, because there are so many different aspects to the game to coordinate, and then on top of that, you have to have this motivational ability, and you have to not only eyeball talent, but you have to eyeball and be able to see a lot of talent, and you have to see transformational talent from high school to the college level, which probably is the biggest transition that you could make in sports, right?
Yep.
Going from a high level of high school play in some small town to a high level of collegiate play in a major program, I would think is a huge jump for an athlete. Now, if you're really good, you're going to make it. But there are many people that have failed in making that transition, and then when you get down to lower positions on the depth chart, that transition is even more difficult, right? You might have been a great high school basketball player, Louis, but you get to the college ranks, you can't even get your hands on a pass. And you're thinking, how could the game be that much different, right? It was like a year ago, I was scoring 24 a game. Now all of a sudden, literally, I mean, I'm getting everything packed, and I'm exhausted by the middle of the second quarter. So I mean, there's a big difference there, a big jump. I don't know. Obviously, college to the pros is a big jump, also. But I think if you had been in college for 3 or 4 years, you're much more likely to have developed to the point where you know whether or not it's going to work as a pro, or have a pretty good idea. But all that being said, I mean, Manny Diaz, it wasn't like everybody was crying that, wow, the cupboard is bare. And so you bring in like a high priced, well known, high profile coaching staff, and everybody stinks, right? The defense lost completely.
Well, that's my problem. Is
Offense generating nothing.
people are like, if we just had an offense, this defense, keep Steele, get rid of Gaddis. I'm like, what defense are you watching? Like, you guys understand they're going easy on you in the second half. They're up by 30. Like,
Yeah.
that's not that the defense is
Now
playing
they're running
well.
the ball up the middle on every play just to
Yes,
let the clock roll down. Yeah.
Guys, both coaches are not getting the job done. Cristobal's not getting the job done. Again, I'm not telling anyone to jump from buildings and to start firing anyone. What I'm saying is, I don't understand the confidence. Like, I would be scared as a fan and hoping, not be like, a lot of Canes fans are still, you don't even know. Hey, here it comes. I'm like, here's what comes.
In total denial, these people. They really are.
That's the only issue. Like, I don't get it. Like, I was honest about Norvell. I bitched about Norvell. I hated Fuller, the defensive coordinator. Like, they needed to prove it to me. I don't understand this automatic belief in Cristobal.
Well, and here's the other thing. And they've tried a bunch of different guys now. They've done this twice where they really went for the high-profile guy. Mark Richt, of course,
Richt was
was a guy that everybody said, "Oh, wow, finally, yeah, look at this." We got the high-profile guy, and it's had success big time on another program. He's been at the top. This isn't some up and comer. This isn't Al Golden, who guided Temple to 8-4. This is Mark Richt, well respected and a man of God, and he's everything that you need to get the program going in the right direction. And he did a couple of things that gave you rise for hope, but then ultimately bombed out.
Yes,
because the circumstances weren't conducive to ever doing this again, and they may not be. I don't know. We'll find out. But and then they went through the whole thing of rewarding like the local guy and a guy that was already on the Canes coaching staff, and now they went out and got this high profile guy. But I see regression, which is really shocking to me. It honestly is. And while I mean like a total free pass too for Mario Cristobal, who I'm with you in this. I mean, you're thinking he was a good guy, and you would root for him to succeed. So I'm hoping that you have this 180-degree remarkable turnaround next year. I mean, does he really need to get rid of all of this bad blood that was there from the Manny Diaz era to get this going in the right direction? It didn't seem like a problem. It wasn't like everybody was saying, "Oh my God, look at these maniacs! Nobody could win with these losers that Diaz brought to the roster."
That's my problem. Is they didn't set realistic expectations, so now it feels like they're back stepping, and like, oh well, of course he's going to overturn the roster. What was he doing last year? Like, he got here in December. Like, why wasn't he overturning the roster then? Why would he keep it intact? And now suddenly he needs to overturn it? Because that's the one thing Norvell did. Norvell got rid of a lot of players the first year. They were like bottom 3 in youth. Like,
what happened to Willie Taggart, man? I know he's at FAU now, and I don't really follow him closely enough, to see if.
I mean, he's not even there. That's the problem with Taggart is he sort of has made people feel confident that FSU acted quickly because he went to FAU, which should be an automatic, like, build your resume, right? If you're a big time coach, you should be able to coach at FAU. That should be easy. Kiffin did it, like that's what rehabbed his career, and he's not been good there. Like, he's just doing the same shit he did at FSU. They're like, eh.
It's a difficult situation to have great success. However, Kiffin orchestrated that. What was he bringing in criminals? What was he doing? Lane Kiffin, didn't he get a couple of guys out of like a work release program from some local prison that were in their 30s? No,
he was getting transfers. He had a couple guys that were transfers.
As they were telling you what the fine academic institution Florida Atlantic has become. It's an international university, after all.
This way, FAU is 5-6, and they just lost to the juggernaut that is Middle Tennessee State. So I guess at least they share that with you.
Yeah. Here's another thing that struck me. I mean, this is obscure, but the University of Texas San Antonio, which I thought was an online school, it was originally coached by Larry Coker, He was named their head coach like 2 years before they actually got the program rolling. Coker was named the head coach, and then he was there for a little while. And they were among the others receiving votes today in the I guess this was the AP Top 25.
Yeah, they've had a decent year.
And the Hurricanes, with all of this activity that they had and all of the emphasis that's been on the program, and we've been hearing the same rhetoric forever.
That's a problem.
Forever. And, this is, it's interesting. People say, hey, why are you talking about the Hurricanes so much? They suck. It's just interesting to see a program completely discombobulate and then never be able to find its way back.
Well, and Dave High, when I had him on last week, I brought up we haven't with him, so I had to bring him up just to get his taste of the or his taste of the vibe right now, and he was like, look, he said all the things, you got to give him time, and people over expectations, fine. It's like, but here's the problem. He's like, if it doesn't work with Mario, then it's just not. It's the thing you sort of realize. If it doesn't work with Mario, then it's never going to work because he was the guy they weren't supposed to be able to get. They overpaid for it, even money for a staff, which they literally going back to Jimmy Johnson. They didn't do. Jimmy Johnson was pissed his entire time at because they wouldn't give him money, even though they were winning.
Well, and didn't they insist? He told us during that interview last year, which was kind of a reminder that it was true that they made him keep coaches that he didn't even want on the staff.
Yes. That's how treatment. So that's what I'm saying. They did things for Mario they've never done. And Hyde's saying, look, that's why people, I guess, are so hopeful, because if this doesn't work, then there's really nowhere to go.
This doesn't work. That's it. All right. You would have to say that there's probably nobody that would have a viable solution for this. So who do we blame? Donna Shalala? Is that where it goes? Anything to blame Shalala for
of course.
what's happening at the school. So we'll see. I mean, it looks like, I don't know, is that Final Four going to stay intact? Michigan, Ohio State, does the loser, after looking unimpressive this week, does the loser of that game drop out of the college playoff picture?
Yes, because that's the thing is LSU has 2 losses, but they do play Georgia. And those 2 losses came early,
and they beat Alabama also.
If you watch them outside of the Arkansas game, which Arkansas actually played really well against Ole Miss, so it helped LSU a little bit. LSU's played really well, so maybe people are treated like the NCAA tournament. They'll do the thing where even though the team has a worse record, they played. It's who's playing the best basketball, who's the best team. LSU is sort of that. Like LSU's played really well in the last 2 months since their second loss. They played extremely well. If they can beat a Georgia, you'll probably get both Georgia and LSU in. So the Ohio State, Michigan loser. And here's the thing. If USC wins out, they're going to get in. If TCU wins out. So the Ohio State, Michigan loser, especially since both teams have struggled lately, whoever loses out, they're not going to get into the playoff. It's just not gonna happen.
If it's true that defense wins championships, then USC would have 0 shot. How could they be that bad defensively? Think about that. I mean, they had 4 turnovers that I can, you said 3 interceptions. I know there was a fumble.
Yes. So that's 4.
At least 4 turnovers, and the other team still put up 45 against them.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
About that.
That takes a lot.
There's a team virtually scoring on every possession. They turned the ball over 4 times, and they still have 45 points.
Yes.
And, USC was able to eke out that victory. Very exciting ball game, though. I mean, it
was fun.
Yeah, it was very entertaining all the way through. All right, a lot of stuff coming up this week. And, it's always a great sports week. The 3 games, what do you think? Do we go with the Turkey Day parlay? Or we have to come up with a theme? Remember when we had the all-animal parlay and it hit?
All birds. All animal, you did all birds. There was one year where everyone was bird related.
What are we going to do? We're going to go with a little Mark Lawrence theme connection here. All right, Cowboys and the Giants. Cowboys laying 6 and a hook. The original line here. What do you think? Cowboys, Giants looked awful. It's a so-called rivalry game, but maybe it's Denny Green time, huh? The Giants are who we thought they were.
I'm more like that.
This Micah Parsons. What was that, a luck out that Jerry Jones drafted him? Micah Parsons.
Yes, he fell. He obviously had the talent to be a top 5 pick, and he went in the teens that year.
Wow.
He fell to them.
What a dynamite way to start the game. Very first play, he gets a strip sack of Kirk Cousins, and Dallas recovers the ball. And they only put 3 points up on that one. But, wow, very first play. Guy drops back, first pass of the game. Usually some innocuous nothing pass, right, just to get the rhythm going on the offense. Throw a little flare out there into the flat, and the guy goes for 4 yards. This one, he doesn't even get. He drops back within seconds. Parsons is in his face, and
Oh no,
yeah, and sure enough, strip sack. Great player. Anyway, the Cowboys, I think they cover 6.5 against the Giants.
Yeah, the spread's a little annoying. I mean, we can do this closer to Wednesday, but the spread's a little annoying. But I would still lean Cowboys. The Giants, all year I felt like they rely on Barkley a lot. And we've seen this NFL. If you key in on a run team, and we've seen this with the Titans, if you stop Henry, you stop Tannehill. I feel like that's the same thing with the Giants. Like Daniel Jones is better. Yeah, is he better, or he doesn't have to do anything?
Yeah.
That's
Well, I mean, he didn't look good yesterday. He does run the ball well.
And what were Barkley's running numbers? I bet you Barkley's running numbers were way down yesterday.
Saquon Barkley, was shut down very badly by the Lions, and
exactly.
the Lions, I think, were like a really lousy run defense, but they shut them down.
Their defense sucks. Yeah, Barkley had 22 yards. Barkley had 22 yards. Their defense sucks.
All right, so I'm going to say that trend continues. That the Giants were playing much better football in winning. They were 6-2 at one point. I think they were sort of overachieving a little bit in terms of wins and losses.
7-2 now, isn't their record 7-2 now? So they were 7-1. Yeah, I think the record is the Giants are 7-3. So you're right. They were 7-2. They were 7-2, and then lost. And now 7-3.
Okay, 7-3. So I think the Cowboys win that one. The Lions and Bills, kind of interesting. Bills getting 10 on the road. After, they looked a little bit out of sync early in that game, as you might imagine. The game they played yesterday. And, you would think that, they had really a disruptive, talk about distractions. 80 feet of snow probably didn't make it any easier to, and they missed, obviously, like some practice time. I don't know how valuable it is at this point in the season. Maybe you're better off just taking a day off. But the Bills laying 10 on the road against the Lions, who have sort of risen up a little bit. And you look more like the Lions that were approaching Russell Crowe when he was in the center of the gladiator ring there. A little more ferocious. They got that whole Dan Campbell thing working, playing better football. Offensively, Jared Goff didn't look too bad in the ball game yesterday. He actually was pretty efficient, Lubie. So I don't know. I'm going to give the Lions a shot. Is there must be a stat. How do they fare at home Thanksgiving Day? You would think very well. It's always the early game, too. So the other team is on a short week. These guys have been home. They're going home to their family. The other team's catching a plane. What do you think, Louie? Lions getting 10 at home against the Bills.
See, I think the Bills win, man. The Bills should win that resoundingly. The Lions played weirdly good football the last month. Because even, remember,
3 weeks in a row, they've been winners. 3 weeks in a row.
That Dolphins game, they didn't get killed. they were actually dominating that game until the second half. So at least the last month they played better football. And even before that, like their losses were just tough losses for Dan Campbell. 10's a lot in the NFL, man. I don't know. And the Bills are sort of struggling. Look, I'll be contrarian. Let you take the Bills. I'll take Detroit in the points.
No, I'm going to take Detroit in the points.
Oh, jeez, that's annoying that we're ranked and everything.
I have to root for the Dan Campbell team. And then, this is a tough one. Vikings at home are laying 3 and a hook against the Patriots, who it wasn't exactly an overwhelming performance by the Patriots in beating the Jets, but the Vikings were absolutely horrendous in losing to the Cowboys. Now, they are at home. Was that an aberration, would you say, Lubie? Just put a line through it and say, hey, we played like shit this week. Let's just forget about it because, the Patriots, they don't impress me.
The Jets, the Patriots?
Patriots are playing the Vikings.
Vikings, yeah, they're the nightcap. I've always
Is there anything better, by the way, than a Turkey Day triple header 3-team parlay and you hit it?
Well, if you hit it, yeah. I mean,
now, can you find your bookie on Thanksgiving Day? Now with the online stuff, it's not a problem, right? But trying to find Lipschitz on Thanksgiving Day to hedge off on the third game of the parlay was somewhat problematical. And he was hoping that you lost that third game because he already had your parlay money in. All right. That'll do it for us. We had a great time being with you here on this Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday. Tomorrow, John Conjemi in the second hour of the program.
Yes.
And then Wednesday, a doubleheader with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge and Old School with Tony Segreto. We'll be off on Thursday celebrating Thanksgiving with the rest of you guys. And then Friday, a Degenerate Friday. So we'll have a lot of activity for you here. Later on today, Grandpa's is where we'll be. That will be Grandpa's, and that's surprise right around the corner from Mayo's house in Dania. I'll be schlepping down there if I can make it on
I
time.
will be schlepping down
And
the
you'll be
street.
schlepping down there because we need you to be there much more so than me.
Uh-huh.
And there'll be some fine food there. Come on by if you're in the neighborhood there. That's on Federal Highway in Dania, Grandpa's. And really nice. I mean, the place is always packed when we go there for lunchtime. Even on a Thanksgiving. Do you eat out more on holiday week, or do you, say, hey, I'm gonna kind of take it easy?
See, I like Thanksgiving leftovers, so I just eat a lot of Thanksgiving leftovers. I feel like most people pound that Thursday and then don't cook it all weekend and are
No,
out.
yeah, man, I got leftover stuffing and gravy for a long, long time. This time it's going to be good too with that Tommy T stuff. I can't wait to get my hands on that.
Good call.
I don't know if it makes it to the Thanksgiving table. I'm going to pick it up on Tuesday.
Bravo.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the a.m. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Great to be back in touch with you. For Mike Lubie, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you at 12 o'clock today from Grandpa's with Mike Mayo in a lunchbox. And until then, we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done